Hello, a very good afternoon to all. Firstly, we'd like to welcome all our teachers and other listeners to the second radio orientation on the newly developed EVS textbook for Class 3. Bhavna Gurung and I, Sandhya Thapa, would be taking you all for a journey we as textbook development team underwent and came out polished and empowered. Our intention today is to take you through the first theme of the EVS textbook for Class 3, and I'm sure we will be able to justify the theme in the given time to us. So Bhavna, shall we start?
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again. In the last session, led by Dikila ma'am and Turing sir, they have given you a zest of the EVS textbook of Class 3. Then they also mentioned about the national document, the National Curriculum Framework 2005, which recommends an integrated perspective in environmental studies at the primary level. So Sandhya ma'am, would you like to tell our listeners what was done to ensure that textbooks provided this integration?
Okay, now, NCF's 2005 changed the way we looked at school education. It has added freshness to the curriculum, and a major leap was integration. The integration that we are talking about was provided by clubbing science and social science together as EVS or environmental studies. So, different science and social science topics were put together under one cover. This is done because a child sees his natural and social environment around him as a whole and not as a separate entity. A child does not interact with the environment in compartments but holistically. It therefore makes sense to continue this natural course by presenting knowledge in an integrated manner. This will encourage them to understand, explore, reflect, and connect to their immediate environment.
So considering this, the first step before getting into the process of writing was constructing the EVS syllabus. Therefore, instead of proceeding with list of topics, the syllabus has proposed themes that allowed a connected and interrelated understanding to develop. The syllabus of Class 3 has been broadly divided into 4 themes: family and friends, food and water, clothing and shelter, and travel and places. An attempt has been made in the book to locate every theme in physical, social, and cultural context, and have been drawn from issues common to social studies, sciences, and environmental education. Each theme has several sub-themes from which chapters have been developed. It has been revised with a significant emphasis on sustainability issues and forms a strong foundation for promoting education for sustainable development.
Okay, Education for Sustainable Development, or ESD, is a unique feature of this textbook and has been embedded in the text with the objective of inculcating sustainable behavior in our children right from a very early stage. This will enable and prepare them to evaluate environment sustainably and issues like participating and collaborating, thinking critically, acting inclusively, and showing solidarity and responsibility. Before we proceed, I'd like to request that the teachers teaching these new textbook should take some time and read the initial pages, that is from page number 6 to 9. It will give you a detailed insight of the rationale behind the whole textbook, the learning objectives, the icons used, which will also help you understand the entire outlay of the book and prepare you for the groundwork.
Indeed. And also the teacher's page at the end of the book from page number 174 to 179, which gives you an overview of each chapter and most importantly, the EVS skills that each chapter focuses on. Teacher's page will guide the teachers, and an effort has been made to guide you all throughout your journey with the theme and sub-theme. It will also act as a reference to fall back to in case teachers seem to have lost track.
We shall discuss about this in brief today, but it would really help if you can also go through it on your own. So, should we start discussion on the first theme, family and friends? Before we start, it is important to know that once children enter the third grade, they feel a lot more secure in their actions and their academic abilities. They feel more independent at this age, but students still need help in guiding their achievements, both at school and at home. Therefore, we must ask us how, as educators, we can sustain dynamic learning practices, be accountable with an increasing diverse student populations.
Yes, that's very true, Sunday ma'am. Children are very connected towards their family. Children at this age draw their own identity from their family and friends in neighborhood and schools. So talking about their family and friends and relation beyond is one example for child-centric approach. But they also need to be introduced to the world outside home, starting with the immediate surroundings. So the first theme, family and friends, is an effort to answer their curiosity and wonder what exists inside and outside the family world and how interactions take place. Therefore, if you have a look at the content in page 12 of the book, the first 4 sub-themes and the chapter developed are our families, places we share, plant and us, and animals near and far.
Now to add further, if you look at the 4 chapters under the first theme, it is interesting to note that we have consciously kept plants and animals in this theme only to make the children aware that plants and animals are also an important part of our extended family. Therefore, the learning outcomes of the first theme, keeping in mind the objectives, are: identifies relationship with and among family members. Second, describes roles of family members, family influence, that is traits, features, habits and practices, and the need for living together. Number 3, identifies simple observable features like shape, color, texture, aroma of leaves, trunk and bark of plants in our immediate surroundings. Next, identify simple features like movement, eating habits, sounds of animals and birds in the immediate surrounding. Group objects, birds, animals, features, activities according to differences, similarities, using different senses. Example, appearance, place of living, food, movement, likes, dislikes, and other features using various senses. And lastly, identifies direction, location of objects, places in simple maps of home and classrooms.
So those were the learning outcomes. Now each theme tries to address leading questions and key concepts framed in a language appropriate to stimulate the thinking of child of that age. Now, to take the chapter accordingly, I think, Sanday ma'am, the biggest challenge for us as writers was to reflect the multicultural dimension of diverse classroom, wasn't it?
Exactly.
So it was felt necessary that all child feel important, everyone's community, culture, and way of life should be given equal importance. Thus, an attempt has been made on localization of content, which has been greatly emphasized in the context of present education scenario. Now, in chapter 1, Our Families, you find names such as Tashi, Chunku, Jigme, Karma, Harkadaju. Similarly, in Places We Share, the second chapter, you'll find the mention of names like Norzing, Kuzang, Kokil, Sneha. And in the same fashion, if you go to chapter 3 and 4, Plant and Us and Animals Near and Far, you'll find characters such as Rupa, Bir Bahadur, Anu, Bhanu, Juneli. These are all characters of our everyday life. A caution for the teachers, though, the teachers will also have to handle sensitively in their own ways. This book is an effort to empower teachers to use their own wisdom in deciding the best available local resources, pedagogy, and pace of teaching as you know best your own student. This book is a reference book to get your principle right and does not intend to dictate any prescription to teachers.
Now, adding to what Bhavna has already mentioned, the content in the textbook has been carefully constructed by considering the children's age and their appropriate abilities. Therefore, simple, precise, and clear language has been used to facilitate easy learning. For example, commonly used local terms have been used to make learning easier and give a local flavor. Churpi for cheese in chapter 1, page number 21. From chapter 2, Agan for courtyard, Dhara for spring, Gaucharan, Khasmal forest, which is given in page number 27. Samaj, Khetala, which is in page number 34. Similarly, in chapter 3, Plants and Us, Rukmit, Tree as a Friend, Rayo Sag, Chhar, which is wild grass, has been referred. The reference to places where the children stays are drawn from Sikkim itself, like Phensong, Gangtok, Singrang, Mangalbaria, Tadangchen, Chuchachen, Pambasti, Bulbuli, etc. I am sure you all felt good to hear these familiar names, isn't it, ma'am?
Sure, I'm sure they did. So since the content in this book is centered on the child, a lot of space for exploration has been provided. There is also a conscious effort to discourage rote learning, and hence descriptions and definitions are totally avoided. Hey, Sunday ma'am, this is a very particular thing we need to keep in mind. Hey, rote learning, we should completely do away with that, and that's why your chapters are, हामीले कहीं पनि यसरी definitions या descriptionsहरूलाई use गरेको छैन.
And I'm sure rote learning is something that the children do not like, and even we as teachers should not be encouraging rote learning.
Right. So it's always easy to load the child with information. Right? So the textbook provides situation for children to construct their own knowledge through observation, interaction, and discussion with peers and elders. I can quote an example for you from chapter 1. Okay, so there's a character Tashi. Okay, she lives in Phensong. Her family in tree has been given in page 15 and has been explained. After this, her relationship, that is Tashi's relationship with others, is to be analyzed by the students. This helps the children to understand diversity in family structure, and the sense of being connected in family is also reflected. Another activity which follows discussion with friends fosters them to think if in future Tashi's family will grow or change might occur, okay, or if changes come, what possible changes may come. So these are discussed in page number 16. So all this gives an opportunity to the children to develop their own understanding, which will vary from children to children. Hence, this activity has used discussion icon. Similarly, in chapter 2, Places we Share, if we go to page number 32, the student has been introduced to Samaj and its role in the community. Right? Samaj, we all have Samaj and the works that Samaj do, familiar. So, automatically when we talk about these kind of words or when we mention these words in our book, it nurtures solidarity and communal responsibility and diversity, which is also one of the ESD.
Yes, that's very true. To give you another example, in chapter 4, by talking about animals near and far, a conscious attempt has been made to avoid terms like domestic animals and wild animals, which has been done since a very long time. This major shift in the terms used can make a huge difference in the thinking pattern of the child and provide the child with a new idea in the context of animals that live with us and those that don't. The same chapter also questions the children about how do animals in the forest get their food. This tries to dig in further and gives a different type of learning experience to the children, which is our target to make them think out of the box. Similarly, in chapter 3, Plants and Us, an attempt has been made to locate plants in a social context, like they have talked about Rukmit and Miteni, where people makes friends with trees, which is given in page number 24, and cultural context. In cultural context, the use of leaves for religious purpose has been given. Discussion on how plants, animals, and humans need each other has been initiated. Therefore, discussion skill is being built up among with learning something new. To cite another example in chapter 1, that is page number 19 to 20, Tashi's uncle who lives in Gangtok has been given a special mention so that children also understand relationships who are far off and a sense of being is connected in a family. So, it is expected that through this platform provided, discussions take place and questions arise, and the child can be helped to cross the zone of proximal development to a zone of the next level of understanding.
So true. So these chapters give children opportunities to take decisions, develop their own understanding, shape their own thoughts, and draw conclusions. Care has to be taken to create opportunities for children to vocalize and build upon their curiosity. As you may be aware that one of the aims of education is to capacitate an individual who make his own decisions and owns responsibility for his decision as well. Someone who makes his voice heard and a person who introspects one's own thought and think rationally. To give you an example, in chapter 4, Animals Near and Far, special emphasis has been given to the state animal, the red panda. And students have been asked to discuss on how they can save the red panda from danger in page number 57. Opportunities to take decisions. In page 59, there's an activity, or there's a question rather, which asks children, if someone gave you a beautiful bag made of crocodile, would you take it? Yes and no. Why? So it's another example where they can vocalize why people kill animals like tiger, snake, elephants, and crocodile. Another section of the same chapter discusses about poaching. But instead of directly telling the children about poaching and why animals should not be hunted or so, a newspaper clipping on poachers being arrested has been used. And questions such as, why are these people caught? Why do you think it is wrong to sell animal skin? So these questions has been used to sensitize children about the poaching of animal skin and various other products. Thus, moralizing has been avoided, yet an attempt has been made to develop feeling of empathy and care for animals.
Another addition to our textbook is stories and narratives. Stories and narratives have been used as tool to sensitize the child, since the child can probably more easily connect to characters in a story or a narrative. It also leads to a deeper conceptual understanding. Therefore, a lot of narratives has been used throughout the textbook, and the language used is not formal, but it is in the commonly spoken language and is in a very simple form. For example, in the chapter Our Family, Tashi's narration of her family members, which is given in page number 14, along with the family tree in the adjoining page, adds a different charm to the narration. Her farm description about animals, the vegetables, and the birth of a baby goat takes us to Tashi's farm, which is in page number 21. It also highlights animals as important part of our family. Similarly, in the next chapter, Places We Share, Kusang, who lives in Singrang village, that is given in page number 24, and Norzing, who lives in a town, which is given in page number 30, describes the place they live in a form of narration, which brings out the difference between a village and a town, which was one of our learning objectives. Similarly, in chapter 3, Plants and Us, Rupa and the ginger field, which is given in page number 44, where Rupa's ginger field has been described.
I'm sure all teachers would agree that students are not blank slates. They bring to the class their own thoughts and explanations about the way the world functions. The text provides ample space for students' idea to be examined, and by taking this idea as springboards, instructions has been created. Children's ideas, therefore, have an important place in the syllabus. For instance, in Chapter 4, Animals Near and Far, this chapter has addressed exploration of children's idea about the term animals. Traditionally it was done like, chapters were like domestic animals, these are, wild animals. So this is how it was done. But here, we've tried to explore the children's idea about the term animals, how animals relate to their own lives, the features of animals from a child's point of view, recognition of how important animals are to humans, but also to plants. Similarly, in page 54, there's a section, Uninvited Guest, which talks of animals who live with us and those who don't. In chapter Plant in Us, in page 47, there's an activity where children have to write the names of plants that are used as medicine. Sunday ma'am, the kids in rural areas may have a lot of knowledge about it. And for that matter, even the kids in the urban centers, they may have some knowledge, if not everything, about these medicinal plants. So imagine how eagerly children would participate in this kind of activity, especially those who know the answers and they want to be the first one to, tell the answer to the teacher.
So we can see, with an appropriate question and suggestion, the child's understanding can be extended to such a level which the child could have never managed by their own. So giving them the spark is necessary. Example, in Plant and Us, that is in page number 46 to 47, various assignments have been given, like about leaves, from the color to shape, size, smell and feel. As students, during my school days, I just read about shape and size, and color, smell and feel was something we experienced but never studied. Now this is what we have included in our textbook. And another writing activity which makes the students list leaves at home as food and as medicine should be interesting for the children, as already mentioned by Bhavna. This gives a lot of chance for exploration to the students, and they will come up with never-ending thought or scene ideas. Similarly, in Plant and Us, making a tree as friend, that is Rukmit, so beautifully explains the relationship we share with the trees instead of loading us with information about trees. Taking a walk around your home and observing plants that grow by their own and plant grown by us, plants that grow on other plants, plants that grow on water, on rocks and on walls, are all examples which are meaningful exercise which adds to the joy of learning.
Another important aspect of the book was illustrations, which forms an important component of the book. We must appreciate the work done by EcoStream.
Yes, we should.
Images and sketches have been included which not only make the book attractive, but also contribute to the process of teaching learning, make it effective, interesting, joyful, and meaningful. The illustrations have been designed and used in such a way that they complement the spirit of the content. If you look in the chapters, you will find ample of images which a child from rural as well as urban setting can relate to. In page 28 of the chapter, Places We Share, there's an image of Dhara given. And looking at the picture itself, the children can understand and relate to the human dependence on Dhara. In page 41 of the chapter, Plants in Us, there is an image which shows two contrasting pictures of the forest, and the children have to observe the image, and further a discussion has to proceed on the importance of trees. So images are not there only to make the book interesting, but it has a purpose in the setting. In the chapter Plant in Us, there's an activity, Making Things with Leaves, in page 48, where an old lady is shown making a tapara and the steps has been given. So through this kind of image, the child relates to an idea of how we have been using leaves in our everyday life for various purposes.
Activities and assignments are an important part of teaching learning process. It also allows learners to develop varied skills which are important for the cognitive development of the learner. There are activities that have been created in the book that allows the children to be taken outside the classroom, to the parks, field, water bodies, etc. It is important to state here that the activities given are only suggestive and activities can and should be changed according to the local context. It is an effort to relate the child's local knowledge to the classroom. For example, in our family, there are activities such as talking to at least 2 family members, family living nearby, and finding out the number of family members they have in the family. In Places We Share, page number 38, activity like What My School Looks Like requires children to go outside and look in their school surrounding and label the place accordingly. Another activity, Walking is Fun, in Places We Share, where the children have to go outside and observe what they see, smell and hear and list it down. Activities such as collecting different type of leaves in page number 46 in Plants and Us gives children a first-hand experience to observe and appreciate the different shapes, size, colors, textures of the leaves. Inclusion of tasks gives confidence to the teachers that activity-based assignment can effectively happen in the classroom, and I am sure we do not want to continue to teach the way we were taught as children.
Very true. And continuous and comprehensive evaluation is a very important aspect of teaching learning. To ensure this, there are inbuilt activities and questions that have been incorporated in the book. So traditionally, this kind of activities used to be at the end of the book, okay? But here in this book, we have, rather than pushing it at the end of the textbook, we have this kind of activities are inbuilt in the sense that, while reading, okay, there is the activity that follows, and, after finishing that activity, you can proceed on to the second part of reading. So the activities also are of different types, which require the child to observe, explore, categorize, ask, draw, write in list, discuss, etc. Different activities allow them to manipulate things with their hands so that their psychomotor skills also develops. For example, in the first chapter, Our Families, in page 17, there's an activity on understanding the different traits, physical features within family members, thus giving an opportunity to the child to observe, notice, and identify the difference in physical features or other significant traits of his or her family members. Another activity, that is drawing his or her family tree with the help of their elders and comparing it with their friends. So such activity gives an opportunity to the child to interact, understand, and appreciate the diversity that exists. However, if children are hesitant to share this kind of information, this should be dealt with very much sensitivity.
Now, these inbuilt activities can be used to assess various EVS skills such as observation and reporting, discussion, expressing, questioning, analyzing, and cooperation. But the teachers need to remember that the purpose of these activities should not just be to evaluate the child's knowledge, but also to provide an opportunity to express themselves. Therefore, they should be given enough time to work on these activities and questions. They should not be rushed, since each child learns at his or her own pace. As already mentioned, these activities are not prescriptive. It is suggested that the teacher can go ahead and be creative enough to devise their own activity utilizing the locally available resource and provide various learning experience to the children. These activities provide a shift from viewing assessment as an independent exercise to viewing it as part of the teaching learning process. Children should be encouraged to tap sources other than the textbook, and teachers such as family members, members of the community, newspapers, books, etc. should also be used. These activities also promote the parents and community involvement in the school, and the teacher gets an opportunity to know the child's background.
So there are also activities which where a children has to work individually or in small groups or in large groups too. The purpose of such activities is to give opportunities to the learners to work as a team and develop positive attitude towards each other, share and appreciate ideas and responsibilities, and work in cooperation. Now, for assessment purpose, the teacher can make a checklist or assessment rubrics. Some of the criterias can be like, framing questions, collecting responses, recording informations, drawing conclusions, etc. So all this can be assessed during such an activity. Similarly, there are a lot of debates and discussions, a platform where you can assess, through which you can assess the students. The different responses given by the students can be analyzed. Unique responses given by the children can be recorded, and teacher can record how the students are observing, reasoning, and how they are building in the activity. So this can be used as an assessment tool for the students.
So instead of taking about traditional route of moralizing, the idea is to build capabilities such as acquiring knowledge, solving issues, thinking critically, dealing with system, reflecting on values, thinking and acting inclusively, etc. All these things have been stressed in order to achieve sustainable development. This is embedded in all the chapters of the EVS. To give you some example of embedding from the first theme. Like in the chapter Our Families, there is a special reason for bringing in the character of Harkadajo in Tashi's family. Such characters like Harkadajo is significant in the lives of so many of us, and there may be one in your family too. It has been given a special mention here to give an idea to the children that sometimes family can extend to even people who are not necessarily related by blood. So by bringing in such relationships and opening it for discussion by asking, do you think he can be a member of Tashi's family, fosters a child to think critically and also reflect on values. In a similar fashion, the teacher can further lead the discussion by asking, can you add your pet or even plants as members of your family? Similarly, the third chapter, Plants and Us, and the fourth chapter, Animals Near Us, are fun and loaded with EST, such as solving issues, problems, conflicts, communication and negotiations, and so on. Like as already mentioned by Bhavna, our major concern while developing the textual material was to find suitable way to sensitize the child to the wide differences that exist within our society, which is in the form of physical abilities, economic background, behavior patterns, etc., which are reflected in the way we live, the way we talk, the way we think, what we eat and what we wear, etc. It is necessary that each child recognize that in any society there are differences and we need to respect these differences. The textbook is only one of the many teaching learning materials used by teachers. Thus, this textbook should be viewed as an aid to the teacher around which the teacher could organize their teaching to provide learning opportunities to children.
So, the ESD element has been an important aspect of our books because it's seen that, the sustainable goals of the UN cannot be achieved without the support of sustainable education. which of course does not simply mean reading the definition of sustainability, rather building a sustainable thinking and attitude which will foster sustainable behavior in our children from the very beginning. Another important inclusion in each chapter of EVS textbook is the teacher's note. It provides suggestions to the teacher and supports his or her pedagogy. You'll find the teacher's note in almost different chapters, in different pages, wherever further expansion is needed, or wherever the teacher can further take the topic for further discussion. So this is how the teacher's note helps you.
Now, it's a request to all the teachers, like these teacher notes play a very important role. So, wherever there are problems related to certain issues that are there in the textbook, the teacher can always fall back to the teacher's page as well as the teacher note that is given immediately below the content. So, it is important that the teacher takes care that these teacher notes are carefully seen, and they can include this teacher note in their teacher's diary also.
Exactly. For example, there's a teacher's note given in page number 15 of the first chapter. Here the teacher's note says, this is given right after the family tree has been displayed. So a discussion on the family tree can help the students to understand different relationships in a family. Talk about the fact that families do not remain the same forever. So a very important aspect has been covered in this teacher's note. So the teacher has to further, after discussion on the family tree, the teacher has to further, discuss with the children if possible changes may occur in the family tree or not. So this is very, very important, and this should not be ignored. Changes are a part of life. Changes come when someone dies, someone is born, sometimes marriages occur in a family. So all the possible changes can occur in a family. So expand the discussion and encourage the children to talk about the changes they have seen in their family. So this is a background for the the next page, and the preceding questions in the next page can be easily laid with the help of such kind of teacher's note. So now that we have almost come to the end of this discussion, I just want to tell our dear teacher friends that to do justice to this book, you must own this book. The writers have created the book. The writers, if you know them very well, we all actually teachers who have been teaching in the schools, and we are very well connected with the children. We do understand what kind of problems you have to face at school. But I would just, request you that, don't think that this book is made by SCRT or the education department or the teachers have written, the writers have written it. You must own this book in the sense that this is a book for our state. It is a book for our students, our children of Sikkim. And now we are leaving it in your trusted hand, and we really believe that under your guidance and with your hard work, we will be able to bring up a responsible and confident children, all prepared to face their future.